In today's Making Their Case, allegations that some Republican Party strategists are using the Tea Party protests for profit. Mother Jones reports the Tea Party Patriots, a group with only volunteer staff that does not endorse candidates, is livid over a similar but rival group called the Tea Party Express. That new group has been formed and organized by a GOP political action committee called Our Country Deserves Better. OCDB and its front group, the Tea Party Express, have raised $1.9 million this year and have organized bus tours and advertising campaigns bashing President Obama, Majority Leader Reid, Nancy Pelosi, and other Democrats. However, keep in mind that every time a political ad runs, a political consulting firm gets a cut of the money spent. In other words, a dollar spent on ads means money for consultants, not grassroots organizing. Now, take a look at the Federal Election Commission filings on the group Our Country Deserves Better. That group, and again, it's a rival to the original Tea Party movement, that group spent $1.33 million from July through November. Of that sum, a total of $857,000 went to a Sacramento-based Republican consulting firm. So are Republican firms diminishing the grassroots elements of the Tea Party by using the name and taking a profit? Here to make their case, Peter Slutsky, a liberal blogger with DoubleSpeak.com, and Brain Faughnan, a conservative blogger with theconservatives.com. Brian, let's start with you. What's going on here?
Well, first off, David, I got to say it's nice to be on talking about anything but the crotch bomber for a change. As far as the Tea Party Express goes, yeah, I think anytime you have a movement that attracts hundreds of thousands of people, you're going to see some hucksters whose primary motivation is to make a buck. And it sounds like that's what you've got here.
So just to be clear, you're calling the Tea Party Express and this group that is behind it, you're calling them hucksters.
Well, if that's the, I mean, I read the report on Mother Jones. If the report there is accurate, that's what it sounds like to me. You know, it doesn't change the fact that the primary force behind this movement was never consultants who are associated with it. It's the hundreds of thousands of volunteers, of people who come out in all kinds of weather all across the country, men, women, retirees, college students, everybody, to express their anger and dissatisfaction with the ruling agenda in Washington.
Peter, what do you make of it on the Democratic side?
Well, certainly hucksters is one word I'd use, but another one I might use is opportunist. I mean, this is pretty commonplace in Washington, D.C. and in national politics, where, you know, there's this grassroots movement that's really self-organized and organized by people throughout the country, and the national party and the consultants decide, well, you know, this is a great moment for us to jump in and make money. But what's interesting is to see how this will play out within the movement. I've checked out a bunch of websites and, you know, through Twitter and Facebook, and there's a ton of anger within the movement about this story that Mother Jones wrote about. So that could really dampen some of the enthusiasm that we've seen from the Tea Party movement over the last year, which could hurt the Republican chances come 2010.
Brian, isn't it fair to say, though, that you have a better chance of these sort of hucksterism getting involved when you have a movement? Granted, there are real Tea Party activists, grassroots folks who are involved, but so much of this has been top-down, either fed by Fox News and organized by Republican insiders here in Washington, that it almost seemed inevitable, I suppose, that the Republican insiders would find a way to try and profit from it.
With respect, David, I just think that's silly. I mean, you can't get hundreds of thousands of people, as I said, to come out all across the country, rain and snow, hit their congressional offices. I mean, there's real energy here. Yeah, like with anything that that has political force like this movement, you're going to see politicians and consultants getting involved. But the energy is from the grassroots, just as we saw on the left during the Bush administration. I mean, no one ginned up MoveOn.org and created it. You know, this is people who are angry enough to do this unpaid, to show up and to rally.
Sure, but when these people that show up unpaid to rally found out that their money is going for, you know, elaborate dinners and the like, they're going to get angry, and that's going to turn them off, and that could hinder turnout for next year. Also, if the national parties start, you know, attaching their candidates to this movement more, when the bus tour goes through their town and the endorsed candidate from the party goes out to speak at the rally, that could also anger some folks if they don't meet this litmus test to be a technical typical, Tea Party movement person. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
And to the point about, the profits and whatnot, I guess the point that we're sort of getting at, Brian, is that even the bus tour with this group, Our Country Deserves Better, you have essentially a for-profit Republican consulting firm organizing the bus tour. You had Republican for-profit lobbying groups here in Washington who were organizing the Tea Party rally and busing people in from outside. Somebody has to get paid, or somebody gets a cut of organizing those buses. And I think that's where I think a lot of people see the problem being, and that is when you have Republican Party insiders essentially putting this together as opposed to a movement that is purely grassroots, it's a recipe for this sort of trouble, isn't it?
Well, I think that was what I got to with my initial point. When you have all these people involved, you're going to have opportunists who come in. To use Peter's word, it's a correct one. But, I think that you can't take away the energy of the movement. And that's the point of the political impact. I think we've already seen, attacks and criticisms of those who were involved in the Tea Party movement this spring and this summer as folks who were sort of Washington organized. But those people came out in elections in Virginia and New Jersey, and they didn't vote for Democrats. And I don't expect them to next year either.
Peter Slutsky and Brain Faughnan, thank you both for coming on today. We appreciate it. Have a great New Year's.